as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Welcome back to the Research Talks with Alan Green. Hello, Alan. How are you doing?
Hello, Mark. I'm very good, thanks. And the sun is shining this morning in Seaford. After a week of pouring rain and filthy cloud, we've got sunshine. So I'm looking out the window as I'm talking. It's wonderful.
Oh, well, that's very nice to have sun in Seaford, hey? I heard it was pretty miserable in the UK this week.
Yeah, it's been awful. It really has been just relentless rain, and just to add to everything else. But how long this will last for, I don't know. But it's nice to be able to see the sun on the south coast. So yeah.
Yes, excellent. Yes, well, let's see what happens over here in the Netherlands, because I was informed that we're going to have a lot of snow next week, so that'll be interesting if that does happen.
Yeah, I think it's going to get cold over the weekend. I think we've got snow forecast for Sunday as well. Although we do seem, in Seaford in particular, we call it the Seaford Riviera because it's a little peninsula that is part of Beachy Head and the Seven Sisters further down. We do seem to avoid the severest of weather, or have done for the past few years. But maybe this time we'll cop a load of snow. Who knows?
Who knows? Okay. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking about Power Metal Resources, one of our regular ones that we visit, and I'm sure there's lots of new stuff to talk about there with Power Metals, and Kavango Resources as well. Of course, they recently appointed a new executive director, Ben Turney, and that's also a company going places, I think. So yes, let's start with Power Metals then, shall we, Alan?
Indeed. Okay, so Power Metal Resources, POW is the EPIC code. The shares are traded as high as 3.4p on the year, as low as 0.16, and they're currently at 2.62p, giving the company a market cap of just on 28 million, which is in my opinion, a minuscule valuation given what's going on in the company. As we were saying before, Mark, of course, I interviewed Paul Johnson, the CEO, last night, who is a fascinating guy. His knowledge is encyclopedic, literally. And we had a long talk and just discussed the company, his vision for the company going forward. So I'm going to attempt to impart some of those points now. But I'm going to go over the key developments in the company, just briefly cover all of the projects, and then just look at the next steps for the company, where it's likely to go. So in the interview, Paul said the company had adopted a hub and spoke model. So you've got the core hub of the business with the currently which are 11 projects around the world, all being operated by different teams with different managers on the ground, different operational managers, and of course a very strong administrative team behind the company to administrate the incredible amount of information and developments that are taking place. I said at the start of the interview, I don't know of a small cap company. In fact, I can't remember a small cap company of this size with so many projects on the go. And Paul said that was always the plan. That they were looking to develop a group with multiple projects, also to minimise risk for shareholders and investors. So with that spread of operations and the range of opportunities that are presenting themselves as each project develops, the risk really the risk element really does diminish as time goes forward. So, in summary, the company is essentially operating on 3 continents. So I'm going to start with Australia. Of course, we have the license applications in and around the Ballarat area in Victoria. We need to say no more about the Australian Victoria gold situation. It's a fertile territory producing gold mines in the area, and of course there are also ECR Minerals operating in the area too. But there is a joint venture with Red Rock Resources, which of course is run by Andrew Bell. Andrew Bell is also the chairman of Power Metal Resources, and the company heard or had news earlier this week that the 3 licenses around Ballarat had been granted, and and the company has announced plans to rapidly progress those licenses, to put teams on the ground to effect soil sampling and, of course, further surveys to take the project forward and develop it. And this, of course, is incredibly exciting because they're around the Ballarat mine, which is a producing mine. And as I've said on many occasions, and this applies to all of the small mining companies we discuss, modern mining techniques, desktop applications, 3D modeling. They've revolutionized the mining industry. And 10 years ago, you could look at a project and you would miss, if there were an asset there, it could be missed. Today, you'll find that asset, and that's the exciting thing, particularly given the backdrop, of course, that we have at the moment globally with the COVID pandemic. The bill for the pandemic rising to $75 trillion and moving much higher. And of course, that really provides a very strong long-term investment case for precious metals. So Power Metal is looking for precious metals in all of its projects. It's also looking for base metals and as well, which are also equally in vogue right now. Mm-hmm. So Australia, there is also a new project in Australia, in Western Australia, in the Paterson province. There's a copper and gold opportunity there, an option the company have for 60 days. They're examining the opportunity at the moment, and there is established infrastructure in the area. Although, of course, Western Australia is a huge barren territory, there is established infrastructure in the area. You've got the Newcrest Telfer mine operating nearby, and also X Metals Nifty copper projects. So we're going to hear more about the Paterson province as we go forward. We then come to Botswana. And here we have an overlap with Kavango Resources that we're going to talk about in a second, where Power Metal has a 50-50 joint venture with Kavango Resources, both on the Kalahari Copper Belt, the KCB project, which includes the South Hanji Ridge, and also the Ditau Camp Rare Earths project. And again, this has progressed. Indeed, Kavango have undertaken work to identify the carbonite rings and take a closer look at the carbonite rings at the Ditau Camp project, which are highly prospective for rare earths, including neodymium and praseodymium and other key minerals. So within the Kalahari Copper Belt, there have been a number of developments of late. The company has, or the joint venture has undertaken aeromagnetic surveys and soil sampling at South Hansi project, which are highly prospective for copper and silver, and we will be receiving more news on those on that survey work as we go forward. Then also in Botswana, we have the Malopo Farms Complex project, which is a nickel, copper, and platinum group metals project, and that exploration and drilling have been underway there. Was underway towards the latter part of 2020. We then moved to Cameroon, where Power Metal subsidiary Cobalt Blue Holdings holds 4 copper nickel licenses, and Paul said on the interview yesterday there'll be progress on that at some point this year. We then moved to the DRC, where there's a 70% interest in the Kasinka Copper Cobalt project, which is sited amongst many large copper and cobalt mines in the area. Tanzania, of course, we've heard a lot from Tanzania recently. There's a joint venture with Katoro Gold. That's a 65-35% split. And Katoro Gold have progressed the project. Drilling has been taking place, and this is a huge area that's highly prospective for nickel and lithium. Mm-hmm. So that's the African continent taken care of. We then moved to the USA and Canada, In the USA, we had the Alamo Gold Project, which is an option to earn into a series of a gold project. And Paul was talking about this on the interview I did with him, and he was talking about the fact that there are literally gold nuggets on the surface in this area. So it's highly prospective, a very exciting work. And again, there'll be updates on that. Moving up to Canada, we have the Silver Peak Project, which is a portfolio of claims that are cited in the taking part of the Eureka Victoria silver mine, which is the first Crown granted property in British Columbia. Again, the sampling and channel samples and grab samples have been undertaken from that mine. And Paul, when the company reported last year, referred to them as bonanza silver grades, and that's highly prospective, and there'll be further developments taking place as the year progresses. The latest acquisition is up in Northern Ontario, which is in the Hemlo Gold. It's referred to as the Hemlo Gold Project, and the Hemlo area also is it's highly prospective, but it's again it's spread over a huge area. But of course, you have the famous Hemlo mine, which is operated by Barrick, and also, of course, Darren Hazelwood's Panther Metals that we've discussed here on the podcast before. It is also sampling a number of prospective tenants or tenements nearby. They've already recovered 90 grams per ton. That's gold at surface, which is obviously very exciting. So there's the Hemlo Gold Project, and also 4 additional projects related to that in over the last week. The McKellar and Enable, Magical, and Cocoa East projects. So there's just this relentless procession of news developments coming from each project, and Paul has got. He is a very organised chap, as we know. He needs to be, because it's a relentless news machine, Power Metal Resources. And I've said before, and we were talking about this last night, if any one of these projects comes to fruition or progresses to a JORC estimate, then we're going to see the size of that one project dwarf the current market cap of Power Metal. And that's what makes the opportunity here so exciting for investors and shareholders, because you've got that possibility spread across 11 projects. In terms of risk, compared to other mining companies, the risk really is minimized. It's almost like an investment fund into mining projects, rather than a stock. And I think that's the attraction of it. And of course, in regard to finance, the company have raised 2.62 million in warrant exercises since August last year, and that has negated the need for any fundraising for now. And Paul said, of course, that the company is in a very strong cash position going forward, but also the way he does business. Where they have financial commitments, those commitments are paid as early as possible. And a very good example of that, coming on to Kavango, of course, there was a $150,000 owed to Kavango as the final payment for the 2 licenses. That's the Ditau project and the KCB project. Kavango were paid 1 year early a few days ago, so those projects are now fully paid up. And this is the strategy of the company going forward: get everything paid, so as the cash comes in, it goes straight out and it's put to work immediately. So here we are now, and as you and I both well know, with Power Metal, we'll be talking about the company today, and then on Monday or Tuesday it'll be out of date because there'll be another development on one of the projects. But that's the nature of the beast here, which is Power Metal. It's a very exciting company, and I think probably offers the best spreads, the least risk of any stock in its class right now.
And I like the new silver acquisition. That's you don't often see that, do you? Just a single silver project.
No, indeed. That's That's it. The silver projects
Mm,
are very exciting, and obviously, we've spoken about, of course, the situation in the US markets with GameStop, and
yeah.
how retail investors are driving that market, and of course they moved on to silver, and
Mm,
silver has really pushed higher. It's a very exciting prospect, and Power Metal, of course, has a raft of prospects.
mm.
To take advantage of that move.
Yeah, it's also nice they say they took up land in Hemlo around Panther as well, because of course we've spoken about Panther before, and it's also a very interesting and good-looking company for the future. So it's nice that obviously Paul and the team at Power feel the same and have got land basically just next to Panther Metals as well.
Yeah, well, I think Darren Hazelwood is he's almost replicating the power model, obviously, it's some way behind in terms of the
Mm,
number of projects, but I think Paul has proven that the model works very well, and it certainly engages with investors because. Clearly, if you've got 11 projects rather than two, the chances of success in any one of those is much higher. The risk element is also far less too. But of course, in order to do that, you have to run a tight ship. You have to have absolute control, and you've got to have an extremely tight and well put together corporate strategy, which Power have.
yeah, excellent. Okay, well, the crossover, of course, is with Kavango Resources. So, and of course, they've had some news this week as well. So, what can you tell us about Kavango, Alan?
Okay, so Kavango will, in reverse order, really. We've spoken about the Kalahari Copper Belt and the Ditau Camp joint ventures. And Ditau Camp, first of all, was drilled in the 70s by Falconbridge Mining and identified several carbonatite rings there, and noted high grades of rare earths, including niobium. Michael Foster, the CEO, said last year that there's mounting evidence that Ditto is at the center of a previously unrecognized alkali magnetic complex. So, as the surveys have progressed, those words have borne fruit, and certainly there's huge potential there, and that's partly why Power Metal have taken the decision to forward Kavango the rest of the money for these joint projects, because we're in a we're in we're in the new mining metals boom now, quote unquote. I mean, that's it's Paul was saying last night, the revenge of the miners. We've
Hmm.
the mining sectors was in the doldrums really up to the end of 2019, and
Mm.
then came to life last year. And um, I suppose global events have created a perfect storm, if you like, and something that's a perfect backdrop for mining companies to develop these projects and revisit dormant projects. And certainly Ditto Camp is one such project. Then, of course, we have the Kalahari Copper Belt, which we discussed, that and there's soil sampling and aeromag surveys being undertaken across the Hansi Ridge, but also with the Kalahari Copper Belt. Kavango Resources has another joint venture with LVR Geo, and this is on within the KCB region. 2 days ago, it announced aeromag surveys to be flown both over the South Hansi project, the joint venture with Power Metal, and over the LVR Geo Explorers joint venture
Hmm.
on the two prospects it has there. So again, there's going to be more news coming from that in the next few weeks. So the pace of developments is very exciting there. We then move to, which is what is considered really the flagship project for Kavango, and this is the Kalahari Suta Zone, which is in the southwest of Botswana. And this is a huge area, and indeed, with the company announced on Wednesday this week that two new licenses have been acquired in the south of this area, which made the Kalahari Suture Zone territories, 7,500 square kilometers in total. And within this new area, there are 149 historic drill holes. But the Kavango Resources website has some very good slides and imagery of the developments there to date. Now, this now consists of 14 prospecting licenses across this huge region, which is highly prospective for copper and nickel. But when you're developing a mining project, often the easiest way to articulate the potential or latent value within that project is to draw comparisons. And what Kavango have been able to do is identify that the structure within the KSZ, the geological anomalies within the KSZ, are very similar in structure to the Norilsk mine in Siberia. And this is a vast mine which produces 90% of Russia's nickel, all of its platinum group metals, and over 50% of the copper. And in fact, globally, it's a huge producer globally. 20% of the global nickel production, 10% of the world's cobalt, and 3% of the world's copper. So this is a vast mine, and when you're comparing your mine to that, that's that's a pretty substantial claim. But of course, if that prospect comes to fruition, it's going to massively change the valuation of Kavango Resources. It goes without saying. Currently, Kavango has a market cap of 8 million. In that region we were talking about previously, where probably a year, 18 months ago, the average size of a small a micro cap mining company with good assets was about 2.5 million. That's of course now changed, and the average is about 8 million. So Kavango is right at the start of that development curve, and certainly the company during the latter part of 2020 undertook extensive sampling, testing, and modelling, noting the geological similarities in the way the anomaly was formed. They've developed a very detailed 3D model. They work with Myra Geoscience to identify the 3D model, and they've identified now a series of drilling targets that will be progressed as we move into 2021. On November the 30th, the company announced that 4 targets, 4 Norilsk style targets, have been selected in the north of the KSZ. And we're seeking high-speed conductors, and based on the 3D model that had indicated those anomalies were there. So we'll be seeing some more news on the KSZ in the next few months. So in regards to the board, of course, the CEO is Michael Foster. I mentioned Michael Foster. He's formerly with De Beers, Reunion Mining, Zincox, and so on. The Mike Moles is the geo. He was effectively the founder of the company, worked with Delta Gold, Lonmin, Reunion Mining, and of course Hilary Gumbo, who's also the operations chap on the ground there, and was also the co-founder. So as I say, market cap of 8 million, shares currently at 2.8p, have been as high as 3.75p on the year and as low as 0.5p. But I think this is a great entry point now, because if the KSZ comes good, then given the size of the Norilsk mine, this Kavango could very easily become a 50 bagger or 100 bagger within a very short space of time, once the drilling confirms what the company believes is underground.
There we go. 50 bagger or 100 bagger. It's not to be sniffed at, is it?
Well, no, but that's you have yardsticks there in recent month. Well, over the past year, of course, there's a lot of people are looking at Greatland Gold, seeing what happened to Greatland Gold, the opportunity to form a JV. They own 30% now of a 4.2 million ounce gold resource in Australia, and they've got a valuation of well over $1 billion. So, with Kavango at 8 million, if the KSZ comes good, or indeed if Ditau Camp and KCB develop, that will also add further fuel to the fire. But we're in a fantastic space now for metals for the next few years, and I think I think the criteria that investors should consider is how's the company run, who's on the board, who's running the company, what's the structure like, and then of course the actual assets and the stage development of each project need to be considered. But yeah, both of those companies, and I think in particular Power Metal, simply because of the spread of risk, I think they're both fantastic prospects for 2021.
Mm-hmm. And I think I've said this before with Kavango, but of course you've got Mike Moles, who's very good at articulating the geological message and what they have there. There's some podcasts we've done with him, and also they've recently appointed Ben Turney as a new executive director, who I spoke to yesterday, who is also very very excited and bullish on progressing the company forward. So, and of course we had the news about the warrant exercise as well, which by directors,
absolutely, and of course Ben Turney took part in that, and Ben has been very much an activist shareholder at various levels over the years. But in terms of warrants being the most efficient way to raise money, and this is the great thing. I think a lot of these quality mining companies are able to raise money through warrant exercises going forward, which negates the need to go to the market for any placings or fundraisings. Because with all due respect to the brokers out there, if there's a rumor that a company wants to do a placing and the shares are at 10p, oddly enough, the next week the shares might fall to 8p or 7p. And then, of course, they'll go to the broker, and the broker will say, "Well, yes, but we can raise you the money, but we can probably only do that at 4 or 5p." So of course that upsets shareholders, and it doesn't sit well with investors. Warrant exercises are a different ballgame altogether, because the company is raising from existing shareholders, and the money's coming straight in. And in the past 6 to 8 weeks, Kavango has raised 190,000 from warrant exercises that's gone straight in. Of course, the extra money from Power Metal too for the Ditau and for the KCB the projects. Also, in that warrant exercise, 91,000 was raised, as announced today, from the board, and Ben Turney, of course, participated in that. So very exciting indeed. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you very much again, Alan Green, talking to us there about Power Metal Resources and Kavango Resources, two very good companies to watch. They must be in top picks, mustn't they, for 2021? They've got to be, both those companies. I think we're going to see a lot from those guys this year.
Absolutely. Well, I think, both those companies, and also you've spoken about other companies, ECR Minerals, Lexington Gold, and others. But certainly, these two are right up there.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Alan, and we'll speak again next week.
Thank you, Mark. Speak next week.
Thank you for listening to this Stockbox interview. For more information, interviews, and videos, visit our website at stockboxmedia.com, or give us a follow on Twitter by searching @StockboxMedia.